I would like to call the Albany Conservation Commission Board meeting to order at 6:37. Today, present is Sean Wadsworth, Mike Stewart, Kathy Ryan, Court Hansen, and Jake McKenzie are excused. All right.
Yep.
We'll jump right to, here.
And we have our guest of the public.
Yes, we have our guest. We could have named it, but we didn't mention her.
Cindy Sellers.
Yes.
Upper Saco Valley Intro.
So after the call to order, I'll jump right to appointments so that you don't have to sit through any of our business. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
So as part of our duties or our responsibilities as Conservation Commission is a annual, let's all get together and like we did with the farmers last month, the Upper Saco Valley Land Trust. How are things going, and is there anything that you need from us? Is there anything we need from you? Some things that might need to be changed or updated. Just open communication.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So it would be good, like, this. Is this a good setting for that, or is it better to have like a separate, like?
Yeah, well, we start. Yeah,
Good to include.
absolutely.
It's harder for Linda to attend some of these like later meetings,
Mhm.
but if we could schedule one that was like maybe like during the daytime, I think she might be able to attend one like that.
Linda. For Linda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for you.
Yes, and for me, so we can both be
Yeah.
included.
Yeah.
But she knows more of the history about all of this. I took I glanced through some of the 3 management plans that you, is it 3? The forest stewardship management plan, that's from last year.
Yeah.
And then there's the agriculture management plan that's outdated. Are you trying to update that one too?
That's the main thing to kind of get to work on.
Yeah.
The agriculture management
Yeah.
plan?
And then so forest management, agricultural management,
Okay.
and what's the third?
The conservation management plan? Conservation management plan?
Conservation management plan.
So it's really just reviewing them, all in totality to make sure we're up to date and keeping things where they should be. We know that the forest management plan just got its update
Yes. Yeah.
with the timber sale, the harvest and the sale, which helped fund the update. But we know the others are out of date, so that was a big part of inviting Land Trust and you here to go through that.
Okay.
Yeah, since you're kind of, sort of partners in the land, keep you involved and up to speed.
So,
Yeah.
well, this year I have actually a list of other like conservation management plans that I'm going to be working through. Who's let's see, who was the one who wrote the conservation management plan in the first?
Was it Rob or Court or somebody?
You have them attached to your last email.
This one was done by Upper Saco Valley, so by USBLT.
Okay.
Going through it, is there any like what the process tends to be like? At least from what I understand so far, I still have to dive into this process a bit more. But part of going through it would be going to look at what has been done already in the management plan. Is there? So that way we can kind of like update it. Oh, this has been done. This has been done. This has been done. Is there anything on the conservation management plan that you would want to change or update based off of, like over time, new goals may have come into play, and this is a great opportunity to do that. Is to kind of like state those kinds of things.
Right. Yeah, and I'm looking at the date on that. It's 2012.
Yeah.
So that's probably the one and only because
Sure, that's
it. So there's nothing, like that's the baseline.
And let's see here. Is there anything of that in here that kind of like that's been on the table that you guys have talked about a lot that like you might want to change or update or look at closely in it?
Not that I have at the moment, but
Yeah,
that
I
doesn't
breezed
mean I
through it. I
haven't
breezed through
looked
it
at it
earlier,
really.
and really, you know, we've been kind of just following along those using it as a guideline.
Yeah.
So it hasn't stopped us. There's been no roadblock along the way for
Right.
anything that we've done.
Mhm.
I recall, so in this, okay, so that this like end part. Oh, actually, one thing that might be added to this, and I know that's been added to this forest management plan, is what all the spongy moth damage and the oak harvest.
Mhm.
Yes.
I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to like include about that in here, in like a forest.
Yeah.
Maybe what we can do is start like taking a look through it
Mhm.
and seeing. Just maybe making notes of things if you'd like to work it that way,
Mhm.
and make note of like go through it and kind of make comments and make notes of like, can we change this? Can we talk about this?
Okay.
Linda would have, because she's doing that currently with for another property, kind of like trying to figure out how to best organize this type of plan with multiple parties involved.
Yes. Yep.
What's the best way to like kind of share that information so we can like as everyone goes through it? Well, how would that work on your end at least? In that way.
I think we're just gonna read through it and
Yeah.
spitball.
Yep.
Okay.
I think is kind of how it
That's
goes.
kind of how we've been doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we haven't been formal about it.
Okay.
We haven't been formal about reviewing it. I would say this is probably the first real review
Yeah.
since it's
Yes.
been written.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's catching up really,
Okay.
and then you know, if we see things that we want to change or things that already have changed. One thing I can think of that came to mind is the farmers on the agricultural management plan. They want to have seasonally a container out on the
right.
farmland.
Mhm.
This was an email exchange with Greg Bjork when he was there. I don't know if you got those emails, but and the quick synopsis was it seems like it would fit in the management plan as long as it's not year round. So as long as they take it off take it off for the winter, they can bring
Oh,
it
I
back
see.
out.
So they want to include it in the agricultural management plan is.
Well, it seems like it would fit. It doesn't violate the plan or, you know, contradict the plan, but there was talk of maybe explicitly putting it in there as like storage containers will be allowed on a seasonal basis, but not on a year-round basis.
Okay.
So, but that kind of thing is like, we just had that little discussion or email and then didn't follow through to actually implement it or rewrite it into the plan. So those kinds of things, just love guidance. Does that really need to be in the plan? Or if the plan doesn't prohibit it and it fits, do you just say, well, it's okay. It's not a violation of the plan. That was the only one I can think of that really came up that was like,
Right, where we had to just kind of follow up on it and make sure.
yeah, we had requests from the soccer club about having porta potties out there, and that was not within the plan.
Yeah.
So that got denied. And that's all I can think of as far as the changes in the
Right.
time that
Yeah.
I've been here on it.
Okay.
Yeah. The roadway, I don't know, you know,
Yeah.
roadway maintenance. So we have to really read through it. And so, I don't know if that's something you're willing to sit through here tonight, or if you just want to kind of an overview for where we're at, and then we can do the reading through and get back and correspond. There was also this thing of the conservation management plan, I think, needed to be approved in conjunction with NRCS, right? And,
The conservation management
or
plan?
maybe it was the agricultural management plan.
Possibly.
One of them.
If it was funded by them, they would, I think, need to approve it.
Right. And so there was this like, do we all actually need to get together and meet, or can we just draft and say, here's our draft, and email it to them and have them say, yes, that looks good, and email it back?
Yeah.
Or do we actually
do
need
it
to all
that
get in
way.
a room and powwow or something?
If it seems like something that needs more of a discussion, then that might lead to the next part. But as
Yeah.
far as I know, the process has just been like
Draft it.
you draft it, email them.
Yeah.
You're talking about the agriculture management plan?
Either. I'm not
Bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
We're merging it a little bit together.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually don't have the copy of that one on me. I can't remember whether that one was.
Let's see.
It's
Oh, yes. So
45.
here's the email. The email from Linda. According to the terms of the conservation easement, I believe Usefelt, the Conservation Commission, NRCS, and New Hampshire Co-op are supposed to meet annually to review and update these plans. So this is what Linda wrote in the
Okay.
email.
Yeah.
It's like, do we actually need to meet, or do it as a draft, by email sufficient? So that's like a question.
I can confirm that with her.
Yeah.
It may not be. I guess it would depend. Confirm.
If there are going to be substantial changes to
Yeah.
the plan, which I
Yeah.
can't believe there's going to be.
I don't think so at this time anyway.
So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of substantial changes as far as
Not at
for any
all.
of these, except with the exception of some of those requests.
There's requests on the spongy moth, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the
Okay.
big use change or
Right.
something change.
So if there's no big changes,
The farmers, they expanded their farming footprint, but we had that,
That was all.
we ran that by Usefelt, and it
Mhm.
was within the plan. So there was just, I think originally the land was kind of set up to be 3 different farmer plots, and we ended up with 2.
Yeah.
And the third parcel of land was kind of just not being farmed,
Mhm.
and then they eventually requested, since it's not being used, can we use it? So it's now actively being used,
Mhm.
but all still fits within what was originally designed or written out.
okay,
I believe.
okay.
That's the gist of it.
So maybe if you want, we can choose at least maybe one of these that if you wanted to go through it and like talk
Yes.
about it.
Sure.
I'm happy to
Since
do
you're
that.
here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well,
And then I
take some time to
can
look at
relay to Linda to see what her recommendation for the course of action would be. Because I imagine if there's not much to change, we may end up just essentially like resubmitting this with any minor like corrections and things like that. It shouldn't be like a huge ordeal. But if that's usually with ours. I'm not sure if it's
Yeah.
the same thing with these.
Mhm.
Is one thing that I'm unsure about
Yeah.
as far as like the easements and things like that. I'd have to look through the easement language to see whether is there, I don't know if there's a process specifically noted in the easement for this type of thing, but
So I think because the conservation easement has all of these lands, it is the one that is surrounding all of these, the forest and the farmers, right?
Mhm.
So maybe we should start with that one at the top,
sure.
Okay.
and then so I can put it up here. I'll zoom in a bit.
Oh, and if there, I think one other thing that would be updated is updating the plans. Oh, sorry, the maps and stuff. So, like for example, what you were talking about the
The farmers' acreage.
the farmers' acreage, and then I believe there may have been like changes. There may be a new trail or something That was at least in one of the tracks.
Yep.
Mhm.
There's a
So
few
we
new
can
trails.
update that.
Yeah, we've got several new trails.
All right. So obviously it's readable now, but if it gets too small,
Okay.
conservation management plan for 302 acres in Conway and Albany, and this is draft or approved July 27th, 2012, and prepared by Upper Saco Valley Land Trust. Alright. Purpose of statement, project name, general info, introduction, property description, stewardship goals, objectives and strategies, amendments and attachments. Here. This is 31 pages long, so we'll see.
A lot of it's an overview.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
not necessarily specific.
all right.
Mhm. Measure objectives, easement, summary.
All right, I'll just read the first paragraph. Purpose statement. Conservation Management Plan is developed by the Upper Saco Valley Land Trust in consultation and partnership with the Conservation Commission of the Town of Albany, New Hampshire. The purpose of the Conservation Management Plan is to ensure that the conservation values of the newly acquired Albany Town Forest are protected, consistent with the terms of the conservation easement, and with the goals and requirements of the funding sources for the purchase of the subject property, including the Land and Community Heritage Investment Program, LCHIP. The Conservation Management Plan includes goals, measurable objectives, and strategies for the protection of the conservation values of the protected property as required in the conservation easement. The plan includes a summary of primary conservation values and natural resources that may be identified on the protected property. Okay. And the conservation easement, this is like, do we have a copy of this?
It might be attached.
Oh, right.
It might be attached at the bottom.
Probably totally true. Let's see. Go back up to attachments. Copy of conservation easement deed. That would be the conservation easement, yeah. Okay, so that is attachment A. Alright. General information, who's the landowner? Day-to-day management is the Conservation Commission. Easement holder is Upper Saco Valley Land Trust. An executory interest holder is New Hampshire Land and Community Heritage Investment Program, LCHIP. The planning period. The current plan will be acceptable until July 27th of 2022, so we're overdue.
Yep.
A review, update, and or amendment to the plan shall be submitted for review and approval by March 31st, 2022. So we're clearly past due. Plan updates shall occur every 10 years. Tax maps, parcel location, nothing's changed here, so I'm not going to read
So those are
through
just
that.
history of how it came to be.
Okay. Some of the history with the deed info. Land use maps. We have a critical wildlife habitat, habitat quality on potential Albany Town Forest, and a trail map. Okay.
Those will probably be the same except for the trail map.
The only one that would have changed.
Yeah.
Trail map.
Oh, well, actually, let's see. There may have been an updated one since then, so that might actually need to be updated as well.
And when they did the forestry plan, they actually, he created a map of all the trails in GPX.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he actually called me and I had a buddy of mine run around a trail network that he hadn't had time to get to.
Okay.
And so it is I'm pretty sure there's a map in the forestry.
In the forest management plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have that.
Because you remember he was discussing how in a couple spots the trail was on a critical part of the Skidder Road, but you might want to move it off a little bit, just
Great.
because we may lose that trail in the future.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if we have a copy of of that so that we can update our maps? If not,
Right, we
you
can
guys
contact
have-
him and get that, digital form from him.
Oh, you mean what they use for this one here?
That may be it. It definitely showed the trails on it, and because he was commenting on
Yeah.
areas where it could be a problem or where he wouldn't necessarily log again because it would completely destroy the whole network of trail.
Mhm.
And so yeah, he had a detailed map.
Yeah, this is not the detailed. This is a
That's not it. No,
overview
she,
map. Yeah.
I think she has it. It shows the black dotted lines all over.
It might have it all, maybe all the way at the bottom. Or sometimes he sends it as a separate attachment.
But that is it right there, right? That shows.
It looks
the trails.
like.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Okay, and there's even a note about the current trail map on the kiosk doesn't show all the trails, so that can be updated too. I wonder who made this
We
one.
have.
Do you know who made this map that's on the kiosk now?
That was somebody at the National Fort at the ranger station. I think we
Oh,
went
really?
through somebody
Yeah.
there
At the
for
ranger
that
station.
map. It was a friend of a friend kind of situation.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you help us out?
Now, who you know. knows
Hey,
how to
remember
make a
10
map.
years ago?
Yeah. That was way early on.
Not trail map.
So it wasn't the forester who collected them, the trails here?
Sorry.
Was it the forester who collected it, or was it?
Yes. Yeah, he actually contacted me. He said I'd run around and
Okay.
GPX or whatever he was using to
Yeah.
to map it out. And he contacted me because he had missed a loop on the other side of the road.
Mhm.
So we sent that to him.
Oh,
So I'm assuming
Is this it?
that's what she has.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was So Tim Nolan was
Right.
is the forester, and this was his forest type map 2024, and he put the trails on. So this has those ones you're talking about that
Mm-hmm.
got added in.
Yeah, this is the one we ran around and mapped out for
Okay.
him, and he actually.
So this
that
is,
is the most up to date trail map.
and there's not been any new changes since then.
Nope, we're just
This
waiting
is-
for the approval for the
Yeah.
expansion.
But the expansion, the expansion is not mapped on here.
Right,
That'll be
it's-
over here.
It's this whole thing. Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So Cindy, you have your map there.
Mm-hmm.
So proposed trails in this area around, this is the ski jump area, the high school ski jump. Are you
Mhm.
familiar with this?
No,
So the high school has a ski
Yeah.
jumping team.
that's cool.
And on the Kank,
Yeah.
you're just driving on the Kank and right in between it's really easy to drive by, but as you're driving, on the Kank westbound, on your left there's this little cutout and that's the ski jump. So Mike and Nemba are proposing some trails that go up around this area. So that
Okay.
would be new proposed trails.
That's why we've been kind of reluctant to update the map, only
Mhm.
because we'd have to update it again.
Yep. On the
Okay.
kiosk.
At the kiosk, right?
Oh, okay, I think I remember seeing that's the one that I think I saw flagging for when I went
Right.
to go visit. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah. You and Linda went out like, what is all this?
Yeah. I got all confused because I didn't know the lines were placed, and I'm like, oh, this is the line. No, no, this is the line. Oh, uh-oh.
And a lot of those blues are really faint now. It gets a
Yeah.
little confusing in there anyways.
Yeah, it's good that they're still at least a little bit visible, but yeah. So what did you say that you were waiting for approval, as in like you?
Yeah, typically when we would add a trail, we'd map it out, send it to you guys, and there's a 8-week vetting period, which has never been an issue, you know. But it allows people to look at it if they want to, walk it, and that way if there's any concerns. And we just hadn't heard anything from that.
Okay.
It's been a while, summertime.
And I kind of just put it on pause a little bit because Land Trust is just getting up to speed with new staff and everything. So, but it's something that maybe in this process we can fold into updating the conservation management plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the other, I'm not familiar with the process for like approving for the other trails that were made. You said there's an 8-week. How do you usually go about that? You send that over
to you. We send it in a digital map form, and they would overlay it and say, "Yep, you're within the boundaries," and it's flagged, and we'd hear back later if there hasn't ever been a concern yet. But if say we went through a fragile ecosystem or whatever, we don't recognize, somebody else might notice and get back to us and say, you have to avoid it here.
Okay.
So that it really is that simple.
Okay.
Usually wait to hear back.
So I think it would go before the land committee.
I'm not. I think I remember talking about that with Linda, and she said that the easement was kind of specific about trails and how I think we just need to be notified.
Right.
And then that was it. Like
Okay.
That's
don't
what
know,
it boils
yeah.
down to, just so everybody knows.
I can
you don't
double
have
check
a road
with her.
group out there building trails.
I'll double check with her just to make sure, but that's from what I remember. She just said we just need to be notified, and we don't really have like much of an approval process for these trails
Right.
as far as the easement goes. But I'll double check with her.
And then it would be like, I would assume, I'm assuming, that it would also include like how it's going to be built, like hand tools versus
Right.
big machines,
Right, and I
Yeah.
specified that in my email.
where there's
over
water
to-
crossings, if there are
we
water
would be
crossings.
using narrow footbridges and hand-built trail, much like what's there
what's
now.
there.
Yeah, as an example.
Okay.
Yeah. Kept it pretty simple.
Yeah.
No machine built. Oh, we didn't get into we're going to bring a small. I mean, just keep it simple, keep it small, and just to not complicate things.
Great.
Okay.
But
I'll take another look at that and try to give you at least like a response to it. I think I remember. Sorry, got buried in the emails in the beginning of it. I think that was like September, and I'm like,
It's the middle of winter, so it's time to.
Yeah.
All right. So we got there from reading this numbers 1, 2, and 3 trail map and trails.
Yeah.
So that's something that has changed and has more change coming. So that's great that we'll get it identified and properly vetted. So other maps: USGS topo, an aerial, and a historic resources map. Access. Has this changed at all? Access
Not right now.
since the creation of.
No. I did notice in the agricultural plan there's a note that the current access will be discontinued, and there was a point where the new access would be. And it looks like it would come off of the state lands where the state buildings are,
Yeah.
and use that wide trail there on the the tank most side.
Okay.
It would come in the very, I call it the western corner. So I just happened to notice that it was actually talked about and written down in the plan that
Is it
access
on
that
the
we're
map?
worried about losing was to be discontinued anyways.
Yeah.
That's if we lost the Forest Service road.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, it says if you look at the plan, it says it will be discontinued.
Will be.
on the agriculture management plan.
Yeah, it was on the map actually.
Okay.
Interesting.
I know
We talked about
I know we've been talking back and forth a lot about it.
Yeah.
How, what's gonna happen when ranger station expands or, rebuilds or whatever, we'll
Right.
use that. But it seems there was some conversation early on that that wasn't a permanent access. And they determined at a different point. I imagine that would be a whole process to vet out improving the road and what it needs to be. And
Right, yeah.
So speaking of that, that brings up, which Cindy doesn't know, another thing we're working on slowly, but we're trying to is get official memorandum of understanding with the Forest Service for that access.
Yeah, so,
I see.
so far it's just been,
It's just has been and it
Yeah.
continues to be, but there's nothing in writing,
yeah,
and so it's not an official right of way. It's not,
No
it's not a
guarantees.
deeded
yeah,
right
yeah,
of
right,
way.
exactly,
Guarantee.
yeah.
Yeah. So we are trying to get a something in writing. And if we had that, presumably that would go into the plan as a reference point for access, I would think.
Is there anything that's holding that process up with the AOS Forest Service at least?
So Court's kind of our person on this because he has the contacts at the Forest Service, so I can't speak for Court on
Yeah.
it.
Well,
I don't know if it's, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys know. I think it's just a matter of someone pushing it along.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big priority, it's just one of those government thing, red tape, and who
Yeah.
knows what, where, and how does that, who writes it, who's really involved, is it, who makes that decision, and,
I can't speak to it without Court,
yeah, I don't,
but it is something we're trying to get
Okay.
for the town forest. Okay, so access for the 3 distinct lots is described above.
So that might change the access.
Yeah, currently the most commonly used access point is the dirt road through the ranger station.
Still?
Parking either on the western edge of the Kennett Homestead lot, or if the gate is locked near the Saco Ranger Station visitor parking area. Okay. This doesn't, the Homestead lot, what is that? The Kennett Homestead lot, is that the further down
I
access?
think that is the
Yeah,
point, yeah,
is
because it
that
says
where-
the more west the lot.
Yeah.
yeah.
What do we call that? What do we normally call that access point? Do we have a name for it?
I don't think we have a name for it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this might just be the name for it, the Kennett
Yeah.
Homestead lot. And we don't have another access point
No,
for
not
that.
at this time.
Yep. Okay. So access is something that may have some changes. Alright. Introduction. Should I keep reading? I don't know.
Well, what do you think about this? Would it work if we had a shareable document type of thing where you can make comments and things like that? That way we can kind of correspond a little bit that way to get an idea of what any changes that need to be made or anything else that needs to be added.
Yeah.
And then we kind of work from there, and then we'll schedule a time for everybody to meet and kind of like go through all of the things that we want to do.
Would
Sure.
make the most sense, for sure.
That sounds great.
Okay. What's the best? Would it work just to like have I don't know how you guys, do you have a process so far for sharing documents or anything like that?
We have no process.
No.
Okay.
no
We all have our
Whatever's-
emails,
Just
we
email,
do
yeah.
communicate via email.
Okay.
Is Google Docs?
Yeah.
What's the process
Yeah.
most used within Usefelt? Is it Google
We
Docs?
use both, but it might be if everyone has Google, because not everyone has like Microsoft Word and things like that. But if it's easy to, we can just use Google Docs and make comments that way.
I can facilitate that here on this computer, so I can facilitate that for this group.
Okay.
Yeah, so Google Docs would work.
Okay. And then, I'll be on the other end with Linda, and we'll take maybe correspond over email, like, okay, we've made some changes.
Yeah.
and then we'll take a look and maybe go from there. And then that way, at some point, once we have a good idea of what needs about what changes want to be made and things like that, we can have a meeting, talk about them, and then we'll probably go through an approval like type of process once that gets finalized. Like add any changes that need to be made,
Yeah.
and or maybe something like that at least. And I'll talk to Linda and see if that works for her too. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Sounds
And
perfect.
then I'm realizing, so you do it in Microsoft and Word as well?
Mm-hmm.
Active markup, shared markup,
Yeah.
does it work okay?
It can't be entered. I don't think it can be done on both ways. We'll have to choose one. If Google works easiest, we can do it that way. It's fine, at least for marking up. The actual document will need to be a Google, not a Google Doc, Microsoft Word document.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as if it's easier just to make comments on Google, that's fine.
So I think it actually, so if we do Google, then Town of Albany doesn't have a Google account. So that would
Okay.
be me using my
Okay.
personal.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it might be, I can do everything Town of Albany in Microsoft. So
Okay.
I think
if
that
we can do
for me, it's
Microsoft,
easier
That's
too.
fine. That's
then we don't have to even transfer between formatting.
Yeah.
The formatting will be consistent Microsoft formatting.
Good
I
thought.
don't think it's as
Good
flexible as Google Docs, but
Yeah.
if we can muddle through it,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that'll be okay. That works for us too.
Okay. So we'll go with Microsoft. They got us again. That sounds great. So then we don't have to read all 31 pages tonight.
No.
Or you don't have to sit here.
Yeah,
we
right,
we
yeah.
can
We
continue
get
to. So you can get home and get out of here. Yeah.
Do you want to aim for like a timeline? Like have all of the comments that you want to make by a certain time period, and that way we'll know when to expect it and start reviewing and looking through it.
Yes. Let's say. So we can continue to work on it a bit more here. You don't have
Yep.
to stay. But then maybe we need another meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. In March and
We do have another meeting in March, so.
yeah.
March meeting. So then maybe April
That's what I was thinking. April
we get together, or we say by April we have
Yeah.
something.
to give to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
'Cause
And,
we're
you know,
really
it's
just-
between us, so it's flexible too. If it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Right.
We're just once a month. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll try for April.
Yeah, I'd like to have it done by summer, just personally.
Yeah.
Get it
Yeah.
off the plate.
Yeah,
it's
for
only 2
sure.
years old,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
What's another few months? Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Anything else that you guys wanted to mention or talk about?
Well, so that's conservation management plan. And then should we kind of do one at a time, or should we just simultaneously get at the agricultural management plan with a shared markup?
I get maybe it depends on
Is the agricultural plan out of date?
It's a good question. I would presume it is, just because they were all about the same time. I don't know.
May of 2014 is the last one that I have.
Does it
So,
say on
Found this
there?
on my book.
so if it's a
whether-
10-year thing, that would
Yeah.
be 2024.
Usually it'll say on there if it's something that, I mean, I think with these, the conservation management plan is one that I think is more like required to be updated every 10 years, and these forest management plans and the farm agriculture management plans may not have that same,
I think I saw in there recommended as far as the updates go.
Recommended.
yeah.
There were a lot of things listed as required, and I think there was one.
Just recommended.
If we're prioritizing one over the other, the conservation management
That's what I
plan,
was- right.
and then if there's things that need to be added to the agriculture management plan, that can be something in the works too.
We can work on it at the same time.
As it becomes like, if it's enough to put on your plate, if you can put it on your plate to do it, but there's no rush on our end. Whenever you're ready and confident to start moving forward with this, yeah, we can go that way
Okay.
if you want.
That sounds great. So we'll focus on conservation management plan, and we might start looking at this, but we're not
Right.
necessarily going to set some deadlines on it.
I can double check, but as far as I know, that's how it goes with the forest management plan and the agriculture management plan.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad I had it. I don't
So
know
much
it-
paper.
Yeah, I'm a paper person. I'm still old
Same.
school. Jeez.
I like to flip through.
Yep.
Having too many because then we have too many tabs open and
Yes.
I
Yes.
can't I
Yep.
can't stand it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay.
This plan does not need to be updated unless the proposed agricultural practices on site change
That's what
and or are not addressed by the allowed uses.
Good catch, Mike.
Should be reviewed every other year.
I'll have to make a note of that for like calendar
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
catch up. Got to put that in my notebook.
Well, yeah, and we talked about just this. This should be our every winter. Meet with the farmers, go over
Yes.
go over these things.
Yeah.
So even though it says every other year, I think it's good for us just
Yeah.
to just do it, and it'll become smooth and easy if
Yes,
we do it
exactly. If we do it every
regular
year and
basis.
yeah.
Yeah, that agriculture management plan is much shorter,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't seem like it has any hard requirements. All right, thank you so much, Cindy.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you for your
problem. Thank
time.
you. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Be in contact. Okay.
And are you at tomorrow's meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also Pine Hill on Thursday, so this is like the night, the
man.
week of late
Week of
night
nights.
meetings.
Well, and then we can also, when we get to actually having a meeting, I think we could accommodate to schedule an earlier time.
Okay,
Or
for yeah,
in the
for
booth, you know, maybe
Yeah.
I don't know,
That would be good, Janice.
4 o'clock-ish maybe, or 3
Mhm.
o'clock-ish, or
Yeah.
Depending on work schedules.
Right.
But
okay,
Hopefully.
that sounds good. Hopefully,
Yeah.
when we get to that point, maybe it'll work out for Linda. She just when she has a lot of them, it's a bit harder for her
Yes.
to maneuver. And it can be hard for me too, but once in a while, it's not so bad.
That's
But
good.
yeah,
Okay.
they all add
Okay.
up.
yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Another meeting.
I just have one meeting. Oh yeah, and then another one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, guys. It was,
Nice meeting
it was
you.
really
Nice
great to
meeting
meet you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Bye.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that,
With this.
sorry.
Oh, no.
Feel better.
It's getting better.
Mhm.
It's healing quickly.
Oh, good.
I'm so grateful for modern medicine.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you're keeping it elevated.
That's
Yep.
the
Good
key.
spot.
Yeah.
Foundation is everything.
All right. Good night. Great. Cool. Yeah. No. It's all good.
Do you want to keep reading through? Do you want to do other stuff?
I don't mind going through another
Chunk.
chunk. Do you mind, Mike? Just,
No,
You
no,
know.
we can go through a little bit.
Doesn't have to
Just
be
at least,
all
you know.
31 pages.
Yeah, just no.
There's
Just
a lot of it was historical stuff. and
Yeah,
it
just
wasn't
kinda
nuts
look
and
at the-
bolts of it.
I don't think I'd ever read it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I came after it existed. So
Yeah.
got a good chance. I definitely have not. This isn't- Forest
That's
stewardship.
forest.
Oh, right, because it's in Word.
Mm.
There it is. Okay. So should we just read? I'll read through, or do you want to?
Yeah. Every 10 years. Forestry and so. Yes, they're gonna tell us. Current habitat.
is the intent of the management plan to provide current habitat land use management information. So that's like, has anything changed?
Right.
Habitat,
Yeah.
you know, and that would be the spongy moth is kind of the big change habitat wise.
Right.
That comes, you know, build a relationship of trust between the landowner and the conservation easement holder.
Yeah.
That is a good working relationship. Guide the conservation easement holder in its monitoring of the protected property. So that's us guiding Usefelt in the monitoring, which they've been monitoring every year.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they go out
Yeah.
and walk the boundaries and write the report. Facilitate compliance. So I think that's been a good working relationship. Okay. So the history, right? So we don't necessarily need to read through all this. The history is the
No,
history.
because it's literally the history of
Yeah.
Okay.
pulled together.
Huh. I was just reading this. This area is noted as wetland on many plans and most likely abandoned for agricultural purposes long ago due to its hydrology. What is this? Is this the part that the farmers are now farming? That triangle of 5 acres?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was trying to put my finger on it.
The southwest corner, well, that would be
Further over, further west.
Wow.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's just the bike. That's the biking trails and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I
And it
think,
does
yeah.
go underwater.
So maybe,
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna read all this.
Yeah.
Oh, current uses. Currently, middle school cross country track,
Mhm.
the flying club, leases. I didn't know they leased it.
Huh. Really?
I thought they just had
But
use.
I think it's lease in kind. I remember when I first started out, that's
it's like just
that was
granted permission.
granted
Yeah. Okay.
in kind for mowing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
Yes.
necessarily lease for monetary.
yeah. Yeah, 'cause I don't remember any written contract
No.
with them.
Mhm.
No, like I said, it was just in kind.
Yeah. General public has used the property. Running, walking, cross country skiing, dog walking, access to Swift River for swimming. Davis Farm. The Davis Farm Tract also includes the Albany Town Center exclusion area. So what is that? It's probably
That's a portion of property down on the western end that is put aside for potentially, that was a piece of property that has to be developed within some
100 years.
100
Now-
years or 50
now,
years.
Now we're down to what? 90
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, and I thought maybe a town hall or
Yeah.
a new access, something. It was just put aside as
Yeah.
Where is
a
it?
use of town. The very far end, where the last sign is, as you drive down the cank on the western end of the whole property.
Just before the
On
campground?
the right-hand side. Basically
It
the
is-
campground border property.
But that's all the trails go right out to it, right?
Right, there's a spur trail right off the cank
Yeah.
that goes along the property boundary.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot, I thought it showed it in this map, but it doesn't. There's basically a lot that was put aside for use by the town,
Mhm.
and something needs to be done in there within 100 years.
What?
Yep.
Or what?
Part of the agreement.
He knows, I mean, it
Yeah.
is written down in the original agreement that it was to be used for something by the town.
Yep.
Oh, he's an app shit.
Because we've talked about it a couple times.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't show it.
Does it have to be that 5 acres, or can it be any 5 acres?
No, I thought it was
That
particular
piece.
spot, but and maybe
Yeah,
because
so
it's
near
a
its western
dry
edge.
spot,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
right, that
right.
doesn't flood.
The Davis Farm Tract also includes the Albany Town Center exclusion area.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a specific spot.
This has got to be it.
And I'm sure it has something to do with not being in the flood zone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. So, anyways, Albany Town Center exclusion area.
Okay.
What is it? Where is it? And when does it need to be?
Yeah, because we bought this prop, was it '09 that we were like starting to talk about it, and I just remember because I wasn't working in Conway anymore. I'd gone to Glen and they were trying to get me to come to the meetings, and I was traveling and I couldn't.
I remember hearing something about this, that there's
Yeah.
some land that needed to be used or something.
Mhm.
The court had a handle on where or what it is. Current use of the property includes sustainable forestry, recreational. There were a few campsites. They are currently unauthorized. Bald Hill Road Tract. So Bald Hill Road Tract is this guy?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Entirely forested, current past use includes sustainable forestry activities. All properties as described are shown on a 4-sheet plan called Boundary Plan Albany Town Forest. Boundary Plan. So that must have the Albany Town Center.
Mhm. Excuse me.
Brief property description with ecological context. It abuts Tin Mountain, which has conservation easements with use felt. Nearby to the White Mountain National Forest. Public benefits. Rare natural communities. Almost the entire property can be grouped into a critical wildlife habitat category. The forest floodplain. Okay. Which is all critical wildlife habitat. Rare plants. This hasn't changed. Historical resources. And environmental impacts.
So 2008. I thought they had it in here. They talked about the acquisition, the whole history of that.
Mm-hmm. 2008, okay. Yep. Yeah, because I was deputy town treasurer at that time, and once I wasn't working in Conway anymore, I had to get done with that job as well. That's my reference, and when things were happening.
Yeah, so this is the history of how the land
Exactly.
transaction actually happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's quite a
Who paid
process.
what? Okay, so here are the contributors.
Mhm.
Town of Albany, LCHIP, Open Space Institute, New Hampshire Moose Plate,
Hmm.
Lands Highway Discretionary Fund, Timber Harvest Proceeds, Fish and Game, and Use Felts contributions.
Wow.
A lot of money. Summary of the conservation
There
purposes.
we go.
The following are the conservation values as enumerated in the conservation easement. Protection, conservation, and connectivity of the native biological diversity and natural habitats of the protected property. The protection of the quality of groundwater and surface water and wetland resources. The protection and conservation of open space, natural scenery for the public. The enjoyment by the general public and non-commercial low-impact outdoor pedestrian recreation and education. Protection and promotion of agricultural and forestry uses, including the conservation of topsoil and promotion of soil productivity. The protection of archaeological values and the integrity of identified sites known to exist. And the prohibition of any uses or practices that will impair or interfere with the conservation values as enumerated in the easement. Sounds good. The stewardship goals are verbatim from the conservation easement. Number 1, protection, maintenance, restoration of rare plants, wildlife. 2, protection, maintenance, restoration of species of concern. 3, identification, protection, and conservation of natural communities of plant and wildlife species and their habitats. 4, protection of the scenic quality of the natural undeveloped landscape as viewed from Swift River, Kankamagus, Scenic Byway, White Mountain Highway, and Bald Hill. And 5, protection of the quality and integrity of surface and groundwater resources. 6, maintain the soil health and stability. Prevent erosion, sedimentation, compaction, nutrient depletion, and loss of vegetative cover. 7, prevention of the establishment and spread of invasive exotic plant and wildlife species. That's something that we don't know. We don't know what might. We don't have a survey of what invasives might or might not be there. Right? Unknown.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is something the Land Trust is kind of looking at too on their lands, because it's one of these things where if it's already happening, it's too late.
Yeah.
If it's just starting, you have a chance if you're really aggressive to keep
Mhm.
it out, but you got to identify it and get on it. But if it's already established, you can't throw enough money at it to get rid of it. There's no getting rid of it once it's in.
Like the what is the Asian, looks like bamboo.
Yeah.
There's some of that up in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
on Bald Hill, not yet in the town forest, but that's
That's
apparently
not
very
that far.
invasive.
Yeah.
So this would be something to just, in collaboration, I think, with the Land Trust, because we don't have the expertise or resources, but
Right.
they're looking at it, or it's something that's kind of bumping up to be like, we kind of need, the Land Trust kind of need to figure out what's on what lands and what,
We need to have a hit list.
which ones,
Yeah.
which ones are already gone, it's too late, and which ones are maybe like, oh, we could put some money and make
Yeah.
a difference on these.
So when they do their walks, or is that something that comes up, or when they go through and look at things,
And maybe,
or do they have something
I think that's
specific?
incidentally.
Yeah,
I think
or
that's
is it just something
incidentally.
that
When they're doing their walks, there really is like the boundary lines and the uses.
okay?
And but I don't think there's a dedicated like, oh, we're looking for invasives right now.
Okay.
It's so expansive because you have to cover all the. Really, they're doing like the boundary line.
Right.
In the
Yep.
forestry plan, forester does not do that either.
No, not that I know.
Even though
Yeah.
he's canvassing the land,
Yeah,
so he
But I
doesn't
don't-
keep an eye out for that.
I don't think
It'd
it's.
be a question to ask Tim. I
It'd be a
guess.
good question last time. Yeah.
Yeah, but there must be somebody, because remember we had that one group that came, they weren't from UNH, but they were looking for a specific plant, and they knew that it was here, and they asked our permission to look for
Yeah,
it.
I remember that.
I
Yeah.
don't.
We
I don't
never
remember
heard
that
back.
as
We never-
being an invasive though. I
No,
that was
no,
a
it
rare,
was
like
just
a
a
rare
rare
plant.
Maybe the
Plants.
orchid or
Yeah,
something
Yeah,
like that.
but how did they know that and know to come?
Don't know.
So that was what was kind of tickling my brain. I was like, oh, who does this and how do they know?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who has this information?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So invasives 7. Maintenance or 8. Maintenance and improvement of overall quality of agriculture and/or forest products. And 9. Protection of unique archaeological, historic, and cultural features. Yeah. Oh, here. This is something we've talked about. Additionally, the Town of Albany Conservation Commission has listed these stewardship goals in order to 1. Increase appropriate public use of the protected property. Good. 2. Create a financially stable town forest.
Yeah.
And 3. Increase small-scale agriculture on site. So that's something we keep talking about, creating a financially stable town forest and
Yep.
how
How do we do
might
that?
happen. But that's, I don't know. I think it's something that we should kind of keep on the upper part of the agenda
Yes.
until we have kind of some solutions, because these things keep costing money and you only get,
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
we're not going to get another salvage harvest.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So financial sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Oh, yeah. Develop access points with signage. I mean, are we still working on new signs for some things, yeah?
Court.
Or are all the signs, is everything like,
There's a couple missing still, but
Yeah.
Okay.
we've discussed with Court, so I'm sure he's
The
fixed
sign
away
guy.
at it.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, he's the sign guy right now.
just so like the wooden routed out,
Yeah. yeah.
brown and yellow, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Create recreational trail network, talked about that.
Mm.
And maintain the fields with mowing, so we talked about that with the farmers. Oh, through mowing and brushing. Circulate a request for bids and establish a relationship with maintenance firm by fall 2012. That's the farmers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there was ever a request for bids, but
No, because it was
Probably
again
not.
as a conversation
Yeah.
in kind. Like
yeah.
they're happy to do it for us.
They are the
for what
maintenance
we're
firm.
providing to them.
Looking at the possibility of leasing portions of the property to a local farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Continue to work with Forest Land Improvement Incorporated. That's the forester, Tim Nolan, on areas of the property where sustainable logging can take place. With the goal that final acquisition loans will be retired and that the Albany Town Forest will become financially stable.
That's all to do with when they first purchased it.
Yeah. And there was a harvest shortly after.
There was, which yeah, exactly.
Helped pay for.
Mm-hmm.
But that harvest was mostly in the
It
flats.
was on the north side,
Yeah, along the river.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They did do some cuts up on the south side. That's what he was saying. There's skid roads up there now.
Oh yeah.
They would revisit necessarily because it's the only access. So
Yeah.
they did do some, but not as it was more
Extensive.
substantial.
On the flat. All right. You want to keep going? Pause there.
I think we
Quarter of
could
8.
pause there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And objectives and strategies.
All right.
Number 7, V7.
Page 12 of 31. It's like
Okay.
a third of the way through. Yeah. So, on the agenda, just to keep reading through on next
Mm-hmm.
meeting, and then start to do a markup on a Word document
Yes.
of
Mm-hmm.
anything that needs changing. Alright. Put this place to rest from now.
Mhm. All right. So then we'll go back to new business and approval of the meeting minutes for January 7th, 2025.
I'll make the motion to,
Yep,
yeah, I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
okay, you wanna bring it on the table first?
Oh,
Yeah, do I have to bring it on the table to discuss it?
oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes,
So, first and second,
yeah.
and there aren't any discussions, they were great, very to the point, and I appreciate both of the secretaries and how they do the minutes.
All right.
So if there's anything to add or subtract or whatever, then all those in favor of approving the minutes as written signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No one is opposed, so the minutes passed. I was gonna do a review of the Conservation Commission report, which I've asked, Court always does that, because I was hoping to like at least read it and approve it and
Yeah.
get it to Elisa. I will touch base with Court tomorrow and see how that's going. And a reminder to you, Sean,
Oh,
that
my
your
goodness.
term ends in 2025.
So I have to go swear in.
Yeah, well, you wait till after like town meeting, but I
Yeah.
was trying to be on top of it.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
nobody was chasing me. So in maybe next meeting, we can just say, would you like to do another 3 years? And if so, I'll
Be glad to.
nominate you to do another 3 years and vote on that, so. Okay. We're gonna do court report.
Court report.
There you go. All right, I don't have anything else
I know.
for tonight. I was glad Cindy could come, that's good.
Yeah.
Move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Gets the process started.
yes, okay. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 7:44.